Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of this trophy and achievement guide for Metaphor ReFantazio. Thanks for all the love and support you showed the first video in this series. I really appreciate that. I do read every single comment that you guys post, so feel free to hit that like button if you're enjoying this series, and also comment down below. I love to read that as we grow our community. So without further ado, let's get into part 2. Now that we've completed the Cathedral, the game will tell us about blade riding. We can actually ride on our sword, and it's a faster way to get through town. Not quite as fast as fast traveling, but it gets us to places that we haven't been to already. Let's start off on June the 12th in the afternoon by going forward just a few steps and talking to the man with a cage on his head. He's a Mastari man. That's a different one of the tribes of this world, and we're going to accept the quest that he gives us called Pagan's Dilemma. We're tasked with going to the nearby church in town, and we have to buy an item there that the church refuses to sell to him because he's from a different religion. So we're going to hop on our blade by hitting the circle button. That is the B button on Xbox, and we're going to go forward. You can speed up by holding down the R2 or the right trigger button to go even faster. We're going to go straight ahead past Moore's Phantom and up into the next area. Now that we're on Sunlumio Street, we're going to go a little bit toward the right and follow the street down until we can get to the point where we're outside of the church. If you look at your map, it's going to be the building that has the upside down triangle on it on the left side or on the west side of the road. So once we've navigated to that, let's go on and go inside, and we're going to go talk to the person who's called Sanctor. He kind of is like the priest or the minister at the front of the church. So let's go talk to him. There'll be a little bit of a dialogue, and then we will be able to purchase something from him. There is the option to purify items. We're not able to do that just yet because we don't have our wisdom all the way up to level 2 yet. So we can't purify, but we can buy. And at the very bottom of the list, there's going to be something called Breath of Fresh Air. We're going to purchase this for 500 Reeve. And once you have that, you have everything you need to complete the Pagan's Dilemma quest. So let's go ahead and turn around, and we're going to leave the church. If you want to, you can get back on your sword and you can blade ride all the way back to the Mastari man, or you can choose to fast travel if you want to. Just hit the R1 or the right bumper button to pull up your map and then navigate to the place that you want to go. In this moment, we want to go to the closest destination, which would be the Hushed Honeybee Inn. So let's go ahead and choose that one. We'll find ourselves warping directly to the Hushed Honeybee Inn. We can turn around, exit, and that Mastari man is going to be just ahead of us. Let's go forward, talk to him, and finish up this quest. We'll choose the of course option to give him that breath of fresh air that we purchased at the church, and we get our quest clear reward. In this case, we get a rusted accessory as well as improved tolerance. Now, tolerance is one of the 5 royal virtues that we have to get up to level 5. We all start at level 1 for all of them. The different categories are courage, wisdom, tolerance, eloquence, and imagination. There are various ways to raise these, and throughout the course of this playthrough, I'll show you ways to get all of them up to level 5 very efficiently. Let's go ahead and keep on going from here. We did get a little bit more toward tolerance, and then we're going to get some notices about improving the royal virtues, kind of what I just explained to you. We also happen to get something from him called a rusted accessory. That's something where if we go to one of the shops, we can get it appraised, and for just a little bit of Reeve, we can get a much better weapon or armor or accessory. So let's go ahead and get on our blade again, and we're going to ride over toward where Moore's Phantom is, and then what we're going to do is turn toward the right. As we move forward, then we're going to be interrupted by a man in pain. Let's go over here and talk to him. He's on the left side. Because he's in pain, he wants a medicinal herb to help him out. We currently have about 9 of them, so let's go ahead and just give him one of those. As a reward, he's going to give us something called a Hero's Incense that will grant us instant experience for one of our archetypes. Certainly a much better item than the medicinal herb we just gave him. We're going to keep on going back toward Moore's Phantom, turn right, and we'll go up the stairs and back into Sunlumio Street. Straight ahead of us, you'll find a man with a white diamond over his head with an exclamation mark in it. He wants to give us another quest. So let's go talk to him, and what he wants us to do is to spend one of our night times cooking at the Hushed Honeybee Inn. It's something that we have to do anyway, so let's go ahead and do that. In addition to some Magla pills and some Reeve, he also will give us more wisdom, and that's very important, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Let's get back onto our sword, and we're going to head further toward the north down Sunlumio Street, and as we head in that direction, kind of toward the direction of the church that we were just at, we're going to stick on the right side, and we're going to find another person over here, the Igniter Merchantess, and she's going to have a quest for us as well. Unfortunately, we can't accept this quest until we have enough wisdom. We have to rank up to level 2 in wisdom just to accept this quest. So some of the quests and some of the followers are locked behind these royal virtues leveling up. You can see that if we had level 2 wisdom, we'd be able to accept this quest, but we can't do that at this time. So we'll come back to this in a little bit, and then we're going to continue on from here. Let's keep going north along Sunlumio Street all the way to the end until we transition into the next area. This is the Regalith Grand Cathedral. Let's start by going straight ahead, and we're going to run into someone who looks like they have a drop of water over their head. They are a water merchant. They sell not only things that we can buy for cooking, but also they are able to sell us things that can restore our MP, which is very important. Let's go to the sell command first and sell off all of the treasures that we've gotten so far. Those are things that have no purpose other than just getting us more Reeve. We're going to buy a few of these pristine clear waters as well as the 3 fruit cordials that she sells. The pristine clear waters are for cooking, and the fruit cordials are for restoring MP. After that's done, let's head a little bit further toward the east. We want to go to the next row of merchant stalls, and about halfway down on the left-hand side, we're going to find the Burly Butcher, and we're going to purchase some items from him as well. He carries some bidon meat, and we're going to purchase a few of these. About 4 or so will do just fine. It'll cost 1,000 Reeve, but we've got more than enough to spare for right now. So after you've made that purchase, what we're going to do is fast travel back to the Hushed Honeybee Inn. So let's go ahead, pull up our map, and we're going to teleport directly there. Once we get here, we're going to turn around and go outside. There's a man directly to our right who's called Knowledgeable Man, and he's what's known as an informant. Informants are very important because they sell us good information. The information that the informants sell varies from what enemies and weaknesses you'll encounter in an upcoming dungeon. They'll tell you about new locations you can go to, as well as things about what items and things are sold in town, even some secrets relating to those items. So you definitely always want to check out the informant. They typically are around the taverns in town, and they'll teach you good things that you need to know. Also, the things that you buy from them become a permanent record, so you can always refer back to them at a later point. In this case, he's teaching us that some of the enemies coming up inside the next dungeon are weak to strike attacks, light and wind elements, and there's even a statue that can move. So that's all good things to know about, and to be forewarned is to be forearmed. Let's go ahead and get back on our blade, and we're going to ride it all the way back to Sunlumio Street. Let's turn toward the right and follow the street north all the way until we get into the next area, which is the Regalith Grand Cathedral. There is a trophy related to blade riding a significant period of time. However, it's unlikely that you'll do that naturally through a playthrough, but if you keep up on just blade riding throughout the game, then you will have less to farm at the end. Let's go ahead, and when we're in the Regalith Grand Cathedral area, we'll turn toward our left and we'll go down into the Mausoleum. Gallica will give us an item called Ariadne's Thread. It's a useful item for teleporting back to the beginning of a dungeon. We're not going to use that though, because what we need to do is to complete this whole next dungeon in just this one day. Let's go forward, and we'll choose to go into the dungeon that will use up our day, and then we can't do anything at nighttime, because when you go into a dungeon during the day, your nighttime is automatically used for resting and recovering. Now that we're in the Mausoleum, let's continue to go forward. We're still not able to get the items on the left and right side of this hallway, but let's just keep going straight forward until we get into a cutscene with a woman. She's a Parapus woman, and she gives us a quest called A Friend in Need. So let's go ahead and accept that, and then we're going to continue on further into the Mausoleum. Let's go a bit further toward the north and throw open the very large doors in front of us. We'll continue on forward down the hallway and up the stairs, and at the top you'll see that there's going to be a couple enemies waiting for us. They're just a couple dogs that are pretty weak. We can take them out without initiating the squad-based combat. Now let's go and open up the nearby doors. And this takes us back inside the Regalith Grand Cathedral. Let's start by running straight forward and through the door in front of us. So what we want to do is proceed down to the end of the hall. On the left side, there's going to be an item behind these barrels. Let's grab that, and now we can go inside of the Magla Hollow. It's the door that is glowing white. It's very important that you go into every Magla Hollow that you encounter, because you're actually able to teleport yourself between the different Magla Hollows. So it's a great way to move backwards if you want to go to a previous area, or then to jump forward to another area. So whenever you see a Magla Hollow, go into it. Even if you don't save the game or go to Akademia or anything like that, at least step inside of it and then choose to leave again, just so that you unlock it and can travel there later if you need to. Let's go straight ahead and out the door, and then look toward the left. You'll see a blue enemy floating over here. This is called an Elementa. Lock onto him using the L1 or left bumper button, and then you want to initiate combat with him. Once you stun him, go into squad-based combat, and you should have him stunned for the first round. This guy will always flee the first chance he gets, so you want to finish him off as quickly as possible. I'll use the Hama spell for my healer, but I can do bonus damage by using an element that he's weak to. Because he's a blue Elementa, he's weak to fire, so let's use the bot spell to do additional damage to him. We get a trophy or achievement when we successfully defeat 10 of these Elementas. Even if they manage to run away, they will come back once we leave the area and then return, so that's a good thing that I talked about with those Magla rooms. If you make it to the next one, you can teleport back to the previous one, which will refresh the enemies in the area, and then you can try fighting them again. Once you defeat them, however, they do not return, so you can't continuously farm them. You can only defeat each one of them one time, but there are way more than 10 of them in the game. Pretty much all the dungeons have at least 1 or 2 of them that you can take out. They don't give a lot of experience, but they do give a lot of archetype experience and mag and reeve, so let's go ahead and collect all of that and then continue on from here. Our healer got to rank 3, teaching us the Medi ability, which provides weak healing to all allies. That's pretty good. We'll see that there's some weak dog enemies in front of us. We'll take care of them, and a stronger dog next to them. So we'll take out this enemy in the squad-based combat after we stun them and get the ambush. These dogs aren't too much of a problem. With our healer, we can use the Hama spell. That should be strong enough to kill one of them. And then with our mage, we can use the bot spell to hit their fire weakness. That's going to not only kill this one, but also only use half of a turn icon. We can then use a physical attack, and then we can use another physical attack with our healer. And that should all be enough to take out those 3 enemies before they even get a chance to attack. Another unscathed triumph. That's good for us. And we get the bonus experience with that, and we get our mage up to level 7. Let's grab the item that dog was guarding and then head back toward the Magla Hollow. Once we get here, we'll turn right and go up a couple flights of stairs. There's going to be a dog waiting for us. He's another one of those tough ones, so let's go ahead and stun him, but we can take him out and get the unscathed triumph by using the same strategy as before. Hulkenberg became a rank 5 knight, which teaches her the first aid skill that's very useful for healing. It doesn't cost hardly any MP, but you can only use it outside of combat. Still, it's a great thing to have. Now let's take out these weak dogs and then proceed on through the door at the top. The camera will pan around and you can get a good view of this whole area. There's lots of enemies to take out, and down below us there are a couple guards who are talking about the hostages that they're keeping in a nearby room. However, that door is locked and we've got to go and find the key for it. So let's go down, and then on the left hand side there's going to be an item that we can collect, and then we'll interact with the door to get a little bit of a dialogue. Basically, it's just these people saying that they're locked in the room and we've got to go find the key to get them out. Luckily for them, the key is pretty nearby. We'll go down the nearby stairs and then we'll turn around and we'll go down some more stairs. There's going to be a dog waiting for us at the bottom. Let's take him out, and he's got a friend behind the pillar. We can take him out too. Now we just have to go a little bit further down the hall, and on the right side there's a door. Let's go ahead and go in here. On the left, there's going to be a man who's sleeping at the table. He is guarding a key. Now we have a choice. We can either wake him up and fight him, but he's pretty tough, or we can completely ignore him and pick up the chamber side room key off of the table on the right. We're just going to get that and then ignore the man. We don't really need that extra fight. And then go outside grabbing this item off the ground. We can go into the next room and there's a treasure chest that we can open up. It contains a Gambler's Jewel. It's an accessory that increases our luck by 3 points. Now let's go back and release those people who are trapped in the room. We'll go outside these doors, turn toward the left, and go up the 2 flights of stairs. The chamber side room is on our right. We'll go ahead and interact with this locked door. We can use the key that we picked up from the table downstairs, and there's going to be a series of cutscenes after which you're going to complete the quest, A Friend in Need. In addition to the 5,000 Reeve that we get as a reward, we also gain a new follower. This is Catherina, and she becomes a rank 1 follower, teaching us the Brawler archetype. The Brawler is pretty unique because instead of using MP to attack, it delivers powerful strike abilities using HP as its source. So you actually lower your own health, but you can do tremendous damage against enemies, especially if they're weak to these strike attacks. The game is even kind enough to give us a powerful weapon for the Brawler. It's in the treasure chest right in front of us. They're called the Exorcist Knuckles. They can even be purified at a church to do more damage. Right next to us is going to be Moore's Cat, so you can use that to transport yourself over to Akademia if you want to, or you can save the game. Let's continue on going out of the room, and then we'll go over toward the left, working our way down the stairs again. Now at the bottom, let's keep going forward past the door that we got the key from. There's a stronger dog at the end. We'll go ahead and eliminate him going into squad combat. I'm just skipping all of those for the sake of time. We use basically the same techniques of using their weaknesses against fire against them. Now let's continue on down the stairs and we'll go over toward the right side. There's a couple weak dogs over here that we can take out, as well as pick up the blue item off the ground. Now let's turn and we'll go back over. There's some more enemies that we can take out, and we want to go up the stairs on the right side. Up here there's another dog we can eliminate, and then we'll go over toward the left, and there's a couple enemies over here. These are a little bit stronger guards, so I'll show you how to take them out very efficiently. After the initial ambush, the enemies are all weakened. We'll use our mage to cast a bot spell against one of the dogs that hits their weakness using only half of a turn, and now I can use the other half of a turn to use a Hama spell from the healer to eliminate the other dog. Now these enemies are mage soldiers, so they're going to be strong against magic but weak against pierce. So I can have Hulkenberg use her normal attack to hit their pierce weakness. We'll skip our turns with the other characters getting back to Hulkenberg, who can eliminate the last enemy. So that's 4 enemies gone on the first turn, giving us another one of those unscathed triumphs. The boosted archetype experience got me enough to get a rank 5 healer, teaching us Patra, which cures status ailments for 1 ally. I foolishly missed an item on the other side of this row of flowers, so I will come back and get that in a moment. For now, we're just continuing on across that bridge and over to the other side. We'll go down the stairs, and there's going to be a couple more of these weak dogs in the middle underneath the bridge that we just went across. So let's take them out and then go across over to the other side where we see the blue item on the bench. We'll take out the dogs, grab the item, and now there's going to be some stronger dogs. They're the white ones in the area. Luckily, we can take them all out pretty easily too. We have a lot of enemies now, but the quickest way to get rid of them is by using synthesis skills. I'll go ahead and use Gabat to hit all the enemies for fire damage. They're all weak to it, so I'll eliminate the 2 weaker dogs, and the other ones are hanging on by only a thread. Now because we have a healer and a mage, we're also able to have the healer use a synthesis skill. This is Mahama, and it does light-based damage to all enemies. So let's go ahead and use another synthesis skill to take out the remainder of the enemies. Just 2 synthesis skills was enough to eliminate all the enemies, and we're able to move on. At this point, Hulkenberg became a rank 6 knight. Unfortunately, we don't get any bonuses or new skills for that. Let's follow this red carpet down toward the stairs, and we're going to take out the other group of stronger dogs over here. Well, last time we fought them, we used 2 synthesis skills, which was effective, but it used a lot of our precious MP. So let's look at doing this a different way. We'll start by using that same synthesis skill of Gabat to eliminate the weaker enemies and leave everyone else that's remaining with just a little bit of health. Now we'll move our healer up to the front row and have him just use a normal physical attack to kill off this enemy. Hulkenberg can kill off another one, and if we still had one more enemy remaining, we could just have Stroll finish off the last one. So by hitting their weaknesses, we would have enough turn icons to kill all of them with just 1 synthesis skill and use physical attacks for the rest of them. Our protagonist leveled up, and it looks like our strength, endurance, and agility are all at 8, so I'll put 1 more point into magic and keep going. We've taken out most of the enemies in this area, but there's still a few more. We'll go up the stairs following that red carpet. There's going to be another stronger dog over here. We'll face him in squad-based combat, taking him out using that fire weakness. And then we're going to keep on going, and we're going to turn and now go up the stairs kind of behind us. And there's going to be a weaker dog up here. We'll eliminate him, go down the stairs, and over toward the left. There's a group of dogs that we can all take out quickly, and then grab the item in the corner by these barrels. Now, I didn't grab the item at the bridge yet, so we're going to make our way over there, and you'll see that on the left side, past these bushes or the flowers, we'll be able to grab that item, and it's a new weapon for our healer. Let's take a minute just to change up our equipment. We'll go into the equipment menu, select a character, and then you can choose individually the item that you want to change, or just hit the square button or the X button and it will give you the recommendation based on the strongest. So I always prefer to do it that way. Note that when you do the strongest auto selected, it will not change your accessory, so that stays on whatever it was. I would recommend going in and manually change that. The accessory that you start with doesn't really do anything, so choose something and then continue on from there. There is another door on the other side, but it doesn't really do anything, so you can skip that. And now we want to go back toward the north end of the room where the quest marker is flashing on our mini-map. We'll keep going all the way through this triangular shaped door, all the way to the end when we'll get a cutscene. After the cutscene, we have to go up the stairs, so go over to the left and climb the stairs for another scene. Now that we're at the top of the stairs, we'll go forward and through this triangular shaped door. After a scene, we'll be able to keep going, and we'll find that there's a Magla Hollow on our right. So let's go inside that room. We don't have to do anything, just pop in and pop out so that we can always return here later or fast travel to this location. So now that we're back out, we'll go forward and we'll see that there's a treasure chest up here, but it's locked. We can't open it yet, but I'll show you right now how we unlock that. We'll start by going out the room, and there's going to be a cutscene showing us that there's some undead enemies roaming around here. They're all going to be weak to both fire and to light spells. Luckily, we have both a healer and a mage to take care of that pretty easily for us. So let's go ahead and use the Mahama synthesis skill to take out all these enemies in one attack.
Wish every fight was that easy, eh?
After the battle, we're going to keep going forward, and there is a room in front of us that looks like it's got some good stuff in it, but we can't get into it because of all the rubble in the way. That's okay, there's a way to get into the backside. I'll show you how to do that. We're going to start by going into the nearby room, taking out the couple teeth enemies, and then we can grab the item on the ground. Let's exit the room, and then we're going to keep heading over through the hallway until we can take out these enemies. Once again, they're all weak to light or to fire spells, so we can use the Gabat synthesis skill to take all of them out really quickly.
Burn to ash!
We are racking up those unscathed triumphs. Remember, we're trying to get up to 50 of them for a trophy, and at this point, Hulkenberg hits level 10. We'll continue down the hallway, and when we get into the main section here, we'll take care of another group of enemies using the same tactic. After that, let's turn toward the right and go into the first room on the right. There's going to be a dying monk over here against the bookcase. Let's talk to him, and after talking to him briefly, we want to go through the crawl space just behind these barrels. So let's break the barrels and then crawl through. Over here there's going to be a corpse on the ground. Let's interact with it to grab the green item off of him. This gives us the guest room key, and you'll never guess this, but it unlocks the guest room. Let's go back out and through the passageway. Before we leave this room, we want to collect the blue item on the ground by these barrels, and then we're going to head out into the hallway, turn toward the right, and you'll see another one of these human enemies. They're the big one in the eggshell. We'll attack it and then go into squad-based combat. Now, we fought these guys before, but this one is much stronger than the ones that we fought back at the northern border fort. They have no elemental weakness. Their only weakness is strike attacks. We'll begin by using the Gabat spell that will take out the little enemies nearby and do a decent amount of damage to the Homo Oppo enemy. The only way to do really decent damage against them is to be using the Brawler archetype. I don't have that equipped yet, so I'm able to just kind of limp through this battle, hitting them with a variety of spells and just normal attacks. Now, I could hit him for strike damage by using the melee attacks of my mage and my healer. Unfortunately, it doesn't do as much damage as attacking them with the spells that they have. So this fight may take a few more turns than what we're used to in a battle, but that's alright. It doesn't take too terribly long to finish him off with those spells, and we'll be able to move on. Alright, so that fight took about a minute in total, not too bad, and we're going to keep on going from here. We're going to keep heading south down this hallway, and there's going to be a room on the right. We're going to go in here and then grab the item off the bed. After that, let's go back out into the hallway, and we're going to turn toward the left, and we're going to run north. When we get to the intersection, we're going to then keep running toward the north because there's one more room down here that we want to go into. It's on the right. There's an item on the ground surrounded by 4 of these teeth enemies. We'll knock out those teeth and then go on and grab that item off the table. Now let's go back out into the hallway, turning left, going back to the intersection, and then we'll turn toward the right and head toward the west. Once we get to the end of the hallway, we're going to turn left and we're going to run toward the south, and we're going to keep on going through this group of enemies in front of us. It'll be a couple groups of them, but we can take them out pretty quickly just using the Gabat synthesis skill. Just that one cast should be enough to eliminate all the enemies. That's another one of the unscathed triumphs that we need, and it looks like Stroll is going to be leveling up, this time to level 11. There's another group of enemies here, very similar to the last one, so let's take them out the same way, and then we're going to grab the item that they were surrounding. Let's go into the nearby room. There's a couple more enemies around here. We can take them out the same way just by using the Gabat synthesis skill. And after they're eliminated, go across the hall and into the room. Some of the enemies will be picking themselves up off the floor, but we can eliminate them the same way. Let's grab the item in this room and then head back out into the hallway, turn toward the right, and go around toward the right. There's a single soldier standing here. We're going to attack him, but we're going to fight this one a little bit differently from the other ones that we fought before because we're getting kind of low on MP and we want to save that for the next big fight. So we're just going to use physical attacks. Just move your characters forward to the front row and then take them out using physical attacks. It's pretty easy to get through this fight because these guys are pretty weak and we can eliminate them without using any MP at all.
Looks like that's all of them. Great job, everybody.
Let's keep going forward and up the stairs. We'll go along the hallway, and if we look over toward the right, we're going to see that down below in the hallway there's a door with that black smoke coming out of it. Gallica will notice it and we'll talk about it a little bit. And then after that quick scene, we'll see that that is going to be the guest room that we have the key for. Now normally it's locked, but we've already got the key. We can go and unlock it and fight whatever's behind that door. Let's keep going through this hallway and then attack the enemy at the bottom of the stairs. It's the same group that we just fought before, so we'll use the same tactic. We'll ambush them and then finish them off with a variety of physical attacks. Just 2 attacks should be enough to take out each one of these enemies. Even though we do let them have a turn, they're still stunned, so they can't do anything to us, and we can finish them off on the next turn. And at this point, we just so happen to get to the 50th time that we have an unscathed triumph, getting us the No Mercy trophy or achievement. We still have a trophy for ambushing enemies 100 times, so make sure you're doing that as much as possible. We'll keep going through this hallway, taking out the 3 dogs, and then we're going to grab the item on the flowers. After that, we'll go north down this hallway, and there's going to be that room with the black smoke on the right. Let's go ahead and interact with it. We'll use the key that unlocks the guest room, and we'll be able to go inside. Normally, there's kind of a tough boss or something behind the black smoke doors, but this time we actually get off pretty easily because there's just a group of these undead enemies, and we can take them out really quickly with just one of those Gabat spells. So here we go, 5 enemies, all of them are weak to either fire or light, so either Gabat or Mahama, whatever comes up first, use it and win the fight with just 1 attack. After a little cutscene, you're going to get the treasure chest key, and that's what we need to open up that treasure chest outside of the Magla Hollow. So let's backtrack our way over there. We'll leave the room, turn toward the left, and then we're going to go left again. We're going to climb the stairs at the end, and then we're going to head over toward the left side. We're very close to where we need to be. Just keep running forward, and at this intersection, turn toward the left and go through the door. The treasure chest that we want to open up is just on our left, so let's go ahead and do that. The item that we get is called the Sanctified Amulet, and it sounds like an accessory that we could wear, but it's not. It's actually something that we need to progress in this dungeon. So now that we have that, let's go on back through the doors. So we're going to turn toward the right, and we're going to follow the walkway all the way around to the other side. Let's keep going over the bridge, and when we get to the other side, we're going to turn toward the right and we're going to get a cutscene. And the game is going to explain a new mechanic that you can encounter in dungeons, and these are called Trance crystals. They're red Magla crystals that will continuously spawn enemies over and over again. Let's start by going into the room on the right. There's going to be some enemies here that we can take out in squad battle. Remember, they're weak to fire or light. And now we'll go across the hallway and into the other room to grab this item. Be careful though, because when those trance crystals are around, they can cause these purple circles on the ground. If you stand in them, you'll take damage. All the enemies that get spawned in by this trance crystal are going to go down in 1 hit, which is very convenient for us because we're able to get lots of experience in AP, Meg, and Reeve just by killing these enemies, and they will keep spawning until that trance crystal is destroyed. Now what we don't want to do is to destroy that trance crystal because we want these enemies to keep spawning in. Let's grab the item on the ground and then open this locked door that takes us back to the hallway going back to the Magla Hollow. So now we have a shortcut opened up. What we're going to do is to run around this area for a little while and destroy all of these monsters so that we can keep ranking up our healer. If you proceed a little bit further down the hallway, there's a second trance crystal. When you get close enough, it will activate, and now that one will also spawn enemies. So we've got enemies coming from both directions. We can hang out right in the middle of this hallway and keep going until we get our healer archetype up to rank 10. If you might recall, Moore gave us an assignment that we have to get the healer up to rank 10 to complete that, and that will also give us a new rank with him as well, and we get a really good bonus if we get to rank 2 with Moore. It only took about 4 or 5 minutes to get to rank 10 with the healer, and now the screen pops up and says that I have a reportable quest. Before we go back, we're going to go into this room that's in the middle of the hallway, and we're going to grab the item off the floor by these barrels. Now let's leave the room and turn toward our left. We're going to run over to that trance crystal, and then we're going to go left down the hallway and through the door that we just opened up a moment ago. Then we're going to turn left again and go directly into this Magla Hollow. Inside, we're going to choose to return to Akademia so that we can go and meet with Moore. We will not only turn in his quest, but also rank up with him, and then we'll get a new quest as well. So here we go, returning to Akademia, and we'll go over and talk to Moore. After a little dialogue, we complete the quest called Moore's Task Forward and Prologue. We get 3 Heroes Incense and 4 points toward Imagination. So that's all good. We'll have a little bit more dialogue with him, and we'll learn that we can get Mag through interactions and the choices that we make in the conversations. But the amount that we get is so small, it doesn't really matter, so don't stress about that. We also get to rank 2 with more, which means that it's cheaper to study the Seeker archetype, we get more inheritance skills, and we also are now able to access the archetype tree from the main menu. We no longer have to return to Akademia to switch our archetypes that are equipped. And finally, More gives us a new quest called Moore's Task Chapter 1 Ordeal. To complete this quest, we just have to study the Gunner archetype. It's something that we'll be getting automatically throughout the game, so you don't have to worry about that. But it'll just happen a little bit later on. Let's go ahead and end this conversation with More, and then we want to change up our archetypes and learn some new ones. So let's go into our menu, and now we can hit triangle or Y to go into the archetype tree. With our protagonist, we're going to check all the ones that are flashing. The first one is the Brawler archetype. Let's go ahead and learn this one. It's going to cost 1200 mag to learn the Brawler archetype. After that, we're going to study the Knight archetype from Hulkenberg. This costs 1000 mag. After studying the Knight, we're going to study the Warrior archetype from Stroll. This one only costs 500 mag. We've got more than enough mag to study all of these things, so we should be totally fine. Now we're actually going to go back and equip the Mage archetype on the protagonist. It doesn't cost any mag because we've already studied it, and it's free to switch back. While you're here, I'd also recommend putting Stroll to a healer and Hulkenberg to a brawler. That's going to make things a little bit easier going forward for you. I didn't do that, and I kind of struggled with the rest of the dungeon, so I would recommend making those changes to make things easier. And once you're all set with that, let's go ahead and leave the Magla Hollow and continue exploring. So you may have noticed that our MP is getting very low, and we do have a way to replenish MP, and that's if we have the Mage archetype equipped. We're going to head back out into the hallway in between these two Trance crystals, making sure that they're both activated, and now when we eliminate enemies like this, we're able to refill our MP. You can look at our character portraits in the bottom right hand corner. Every time that we eliminate an enemy, the whole screen down there flashes. That's us refilling our NP. We only get one every time we eliminate an enemy, so it's a little bit slow, but over time you are able to get a lot of your MP back, and this is really helpful because we don't have to use MP restoring items to do this. It's also really nice that the Mage archetype's weapon does a 360-degree attack, so all you have to do is to stand around and then eliminate all the enemies. I highly recommend you do not destroy these Trance crystals like I'm doing right now. It is a terrible idea because it means that you won't be able to farm this area again for more MP. Another mistake that I made that I do not want you to make. Well, after we're done getting our MP back, we're going to proceed down the hallway, and now we can fight one of these big Homo Oppo enemies again. Now, they are pretty tough, but if you had the Brawler archetype equipped, you would be able to hit it with a very powerful strike damage. That's its only weakness, and you could take them out pretty quickly. We also learned some new synthesis skills. We have Batra as well as Blizza. They each do medium damage of their corresponding element to only one enemy. I'm going to use Gabat just to get rid of the other enemies, and now I can start to attack the Homo Oppo. You can see that we can hit the weakness with just our normal melee attacks, and like I said before, if Hulkenberg was able to be a brawler, she could do a lot of damage to this guy. Instead, I'm going to use Knight's Proclamation, which draws all attention to her so that when the enemy attacks, it will attack her instead of one of our magic using characters with lower defense. You can see the enemy's focus thrust does quite a bit of damage to Hulkenberg. It would have been a lot more if it hit one of our other characters. Now we're just going to keep fighting it off using our normal melee attacks and a combination of magic, and it should go down within just a couple turns.
Observe the enemy. To the rear guard, Captain. For all that we strive for. I shall fight. It's over.
Only one left. Finish them off and we're clear.
Like swan. Moving to the front. Right there. They yet cling to life. Are you prepared? Burn to ash. They die hard. Let's go. Burn!
That fight is over. Let's go ahead and keep on running down the hall. We're going to go into the room on the left side. There are two things that we need to get over there. The first thing is going to be an item that's found in the corner. So run to the back left corner and you're able to grab this item behind the barrels. And then there's a guard that's mumbling to himself. Let's go ahead and talk to him. We want to choose the third option called We Want to Go Up. After we choose that one, he's going to give us the key that will take us into the altar chamber, and that will allow us to progress through here. After that, we'll just choose to leave him alone and continue on. We can leave the room, and now you can either go directly into the altar chamber, or if you want to do a little bit more exploring, there is a section toward the north that we haven't looked at yet. So let's just go do that real quick. I'm not too keen on fighting another one of those Homo Appos, so I'll ignore him and just take out the zombie on the ground. We're going to go into the door on the right. There's an item behind the table, behind these barrels, so we'll grab that, and now we'll go out into the hallway. Circling around, we can grab an item by the flowers, and then take out the enemies outside the door. Going inside the door will reveal that there's a couple more of those teeth monsters we can eliminate, and now we'll leave the room, turn toward the right, and we're just going to run down the hallway, and we're going to go into the altar chamber on the right side. We're in a new area with new and tougher enemies. Starting off on the right hand side, there's going to be Moore's Cat, so you can save the game there if you want to. Let's grab this item on the left side behind the boxes, and now we can attack these enemies who do not go down in one hit. We do have to put in a lot of work to get the squad base even started, and now these enemies are significantly tougher than what we fought before. They've got two weaknesses. They are weak to strike attacks and to light, so unfortunately our fire attacks aren't going to work as well. This is another great reason to have both a brawler and a healer on your team instead of two mages and a knight like what I've got going on right now. I could be hitting their weaknesses all day if I had a different team set up. Instead, I'm getting resisted because these guys resist pierce attacks. They're kind of the opposite of what we've been fighting earlier. So you have to change up your party a little bit in dungeons sometimes, because when you go into a new area, you'll encounter stronger enemies that counter what you were doing earlier. Well, that fight didn't go quite as smoothly as a lot of the other ones, but that's okay. Our protagonist still got enough experience to get up to level 13. Now, I leveled up before when we were farming those monsters by the Trance crystals, giving me 2 different points to allocate. I'm going to put them both into magic. You don't get to choose your points when you're in the overworld map and level up, only when you level up in squad-based combat. We'll grab the additional item in this area by the barrels, and now we'll go straight forward through the door, and we've got another enemy up ahead here. Once again, these guys are going to be weak against strike attacks and light, and not weak against the things that I currently have. So again, make sure you have a brawler and a healer to get through these guys a lot faster. I'm just going to limp my way through this one using magic attacks or ice attacks. Luckily, we are able to stun them and get the ambush, so we can do some decent damage to them and take only a little bit of damage from these guys, thanks to them being stunned for the first round and buying us an extra turn. We'll just keep hitting them with a little bit more magic, and then because I wasn't able to finish them off by the end of this round, I do move Hulkenberg to the back row and then tell her to use Knight's Proclamation. That gets the attention of the other enemy, and because I'm in the back row, I'll take less damage, and that is enough to keep me from being hurt too bad, and then I can just finish them off with some magic on the following turn.
Is that all?
Only one left.
I shall vanquish evil.
We're clear.
On your greatest power.
With that battle complete, we'll get all of our rewards, and then we're going to keep on going from here. Let's go forward, grabbing the item on the ground, and now we can turn around and find some weaker skeleton enemies roaming around here. We can take those out really quickly. The stairs on the right side are blocked by rubble, so we'll go up the stairs on the left. We'll go and start running through the hallways. When we get to the end of this hallway, we'll turn right and run forward and then up some stairs. There's going to be another skeleton enemy up ahead. Let's go ahead and attack them. We'll defeat them in squad-based combat, but I'm going to skip a lot of those just for the sake of time and because I've already shown you and explained the strategies overall. At the top, you'll grab an item and then come back to where you fought that skeleton group, and then you'll be able to jump down into this area where you'll get a cutscene. After that, go forward, grab the item, and then you're going to go forward and toward the right, grabbing another item in this area and fighting off the skeletons.
We got them all. We'll be safe for a while.
Now what you want to do is to keep going forward. You'll be able to crawl down through this passageway toward the west, and then you can grab an item on the ground. Now let's climb up onto this box and we can take out the enemies in this area. Straight ahead of us is another ledge that we can climb up. Let's go forward and toward the left and we'll climb up onto another box. Now be careful, because as you go forward, another one of these enemies will jump forward and will probably ambush you. You got to be a little bit careful to dodge that. But we'll take them out the same ways as before, and once that enemy is eliminated, we do see that we not only level up, but Hulkenberg gained the Guard Lore passive ability, which automatically increases her defense at the beginning of battle. After that, let's go forward and we're going to destroy these boxes to get the treasure chest beyond them. And now we're going to turn around and head back the way that we came. And we're going to grab an item on the ground. It's one of those blue shiny items right here in the corner. Let's hop back down and then continue around the corner to the right. We'll jump down again and then keep going forward. Drop down again, go forward, and now we're going to go down through the crawl space. Continue running forward and then go over toward the left when you get to the end of this row, and then hop down. There's going to be a couple items on the ground here. Let's grab them as we circle around toward the left and take out the enemies in this area too. There's one more hiding out back here. He's easy to kill, and we can grab this item on the ground. Let's proceed over to the northeast corner where there's another ledge that we can drop down, and then we're going to go and get the treasure chest toward our left. Inside of here is a Moonlight Mace. This is a much better weapon for our healer. So if you have a healer, be sure to put that on and then climb back up here and then over toward the right side. We're going to go forward, and then on our right is going to be another path that we can take where we can drop down. We'll go forward and hop up onto the ledge straight ahead of us, and now we'll turn to the left and start going up the stairs. We'll take out this enemy along the way, and then we'll keep going forward up the stairs a little bit more. We're going to ignore the path on our left for right now where these guards are, and instead we'll go a little bit further and we're going to take out these enemies along the way. We'll keep going all the way to the end where we'll find another item on the ground behind these barrels. After getting that item, turn around and go back the way you came. You can go to the right and go into this area where there's going to be an item on the ground. So destroy those barrels and grab the item, and now we can return back to the path where we were going before. We're going to turn to the right, keep going down and around, and when you get to these bodies on the ground, you want to turn to the right and go along that path. Let's keep going up the path, and then we're going to go to the right and then keep going to the right and down this hallway. We'll take out the enemies along the way, and when we get to the end of this hallway, turn to the right and take out this enemy. I did want to call attention to the end of this fight because I got a spoil called a Silver Lance. It's an upgraded weapon for our knight, so let's go ahead and throw that onto Hulkenberg real quick. We'll go into the equipment menu, we'll go down to Hulkenberg, and we'll select her weapon, and now we're going to choose the Silver Lance, which is quite a bit more powerful than what we were wielding before. We'll keep running down the path past the first set of barrels, and at the second set of barrels, we're going to destroy them because that gives us a passageway down below. We'll hop down a couple times, and on our left, there's going to be a Homo Oppo and one Blue Elementa. I'm pretty low on MP right now, so I'll go into my items, and I'm going to use some of those fruit cordials that I got earlier in town, and that will allow me to have enough MP to take out this Blue Elementa. So we'll lock onto it, dash forward, initiate squad-based combat, and then start attacking it with our fire spells, and that should be enough to take it out pretty quickly, and we should be able to get our rewards no problem before it runs away.
Your opening, Captain. And that's that. Victory's ours.
I chose the wrong opponent.
Alright, let's keep on going from here. Straight ahead of us is another item on the ground, and then we'll turn left, and there's going to be another item back here by these barrels, so let's grab that. There's one more item that we dashed past on the way to the Blue Elementa, so we're going to grab that, ignore the large enemy because I don't have a good answer for him, and hop back up to the path. We'll turn toward the right and go forward all the way to the end, and we're going to see that there's another instance of Moore's Cat waiting for us. And you can also see that right next to us is a door with that black smoke coming out, and that usually means that there's a tough fight on the other side. So I definitely would recommend that you save the game here, and we're also going to set up our archetypes a little bit differently. My recommendation is to have the protagonist be a mage, Stroll be a healer, and Hulkenberg goes back to being a knight because we want that pierce damage instead of that strike damage. Also, make sure that your MP is in a good spot. You can use the Magla pills or the fruit cordials that we've been collecting along the way, and that should be enough to get us a little bit of MP. You don't need to go too crazy here, just make sure that everyone has some MP if they're a magic user. And then we're going to go through that door with the black smoke coming out of it. We'll have a little bit of a cutscene, and we'll be in another tough fight against 4 of those skeletal enemies and 1 of the Luisan mage captains. If you had that recommended team setup that I told you about with all those archetypes, you would have a healer who could use the Mahama synthesis skill. That would do really well for hitting these enemies' weaknesses. Unfortunately, I had 2 mages instead, so I'm only able to use Gabat. It does a good amount of damage, don't get me wrong, but I also missed an enemy, which is unfortunate because then my turn ends and their turn begins, and they're able to start racking up some damage against me. After that, it's going to be my turn again with another mage, and I'm going to once again use Gabat as my synthesis skill. It'll take out a few of the enemies, but I also miss another one of the enemies, automatically ending my turn, and the enemy gets to go again. But at least I've thinned their numbers out a little bit. The Luisan mage captain is different though. Because he is a mage captain, he is resistant to all elements, so you can't hurt him with a mage very well, even with light magic from a healer. Instead, you want to have Hulkenberg use her normal attack as a knight. The mage captain is weak to pierce attacks, so we're able to hit his weakness, and then I'm going to use 1 more Gabat spell, and that should take out a few of those extra enemies on the side. So we're really cutting down on their numbers and making this a much fairer fight. 1 more bot spell is enough for me to take out that extra enemy, and now it's just down to the Luisan mage captain, who likes to keep buffing himself, but hasn't actually done a lot on the offensive side. I'm going to take advantage of his kindness by hitting him with a pierce attack that he's weak to, and then I'm going to pass my turns with Stroll and the protagonist to get back to Hulkenberg and hit him with another pierce attack. On my final remaining turns, I'm going to guard with my 2 mages, and that will end my turn. He's going to attack everyone, but because I'm guarding, I'll take less damage. And now I think it's about time to finish him off. Let's hit him with another pierce attack, skip through the other characters' turns, and hit him with another pierce attack. I'm getting him pretty low on health at this point, so I thought maybe I would use some offensive spells with my mages, but because he resists all of the elements, we're just not doing a whole lot of damage to him. Really what we did was we opened ourselves up for another big hit because we're not guarding. We took a little bit more damage than I really would have preferred, but that's okay. We're going to finish him off on the next turn. It's Hulkenberg's turn, and she's just going to use 1 more of her normal attacks to finish the fight. At the reward screen, we'll see that we get a spoil, and that is the Cooling Staff. That's a new weapon for a mage that boosts the damage from ice-based spells, so that's pretty cool. We'll go forward and we'll find that there's another Magla Hollow on our left side, so let's go into here. Now, I'm pretty low on MP from everyone, so what I want to do is to teleport back to an area that allows me to farm some weaker enemies to get our MP back. If you still have those Trance crystals available, you can go back to the Servant's Chamber. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go all the way back to the Prayer Chamber at the beginning of this area and fight the dogs that are all scattered across this area. Let's quickly go into the menu and choose Skill. Then we'll go down to Hulkenberg, and we want to use the First Aid ability. It only costs 2 MP, but it restores a significant amount of our health. So we'll use that a few times to get everyone back to full health. And now we're going to go around and defeat these weak enemies to recharge our MP as long as we have that mage archetype equipped. So run around here. Everything should be a 1-hit kill now. And now we're going to go back toward that Magla Hollow, and we're going to go up the stairs on our right. There's a dog at the top of the stairs, so let's take him out, and then we're going to go up the other flight of stairs nearby and take out the dogs up here.
Alright, how's
Now let's go into the room, and then over toward the left, we'll run down all the stairs to get to the bottom, and there's going to be another couple dogs waiting for us on our right side. Once they're eliminated, we're going to proceed down the hall, and we're going to take out the enemies in this right-hand path. There's a couple of them hanging out at the end of the hall. Now we'll go back into the main chamber, and we're going to turn right, taking out this enemy. We're going to go down to the lower level, taking out the enemies on the bottom right-hand corner. We'll go toward the middle, taking out the other dogs in the middle part. Let's keep going until we get rid of all the dogs in this lower level.
I see the enemy. Right there. There they are.
Once they've all been eliminated and you're on the south side of the room, then we're going to go up the stairs toward the east and take out the dog here. We'll go forward a little bit and then go halfway down the bridge, and we're going to take out this dog in the middle. We'll backtrack a little bit and then run down the hallway toward the north, taking out all the dogs down here. Now let's go up the stairs, taking out one dog here, and then down toward the left, there's two more dogs that we can eliminate. And that's everything eliminated in this area. We're going to keep going north until we get to the stairs. We want to run up the stairs, and then when we get into the next section, we're going to immediately turn around and come back the way we came. When you transition screens like this, all of the enemies will respawn, which means we can go back through and get them all again. Not only is this a good way to gain some more ranks and some levels and get some mag and reeve if you want to, but also we are recharging our MP for every enemy that we defeat. It's kind of a slow process, and I honestly think that it is a lot better if you just stay between those two trance crystals, but because I destroyed them like the not too smart person I am sometimes, then I have to do it the old-fashioned way. So again, make sure you don't destroy those trance crystals, just stay in between them, and it's a whole lot easier than having to run through this section. When I was playing the demo of this game before it was actually released, I spent a lot of time running through this path of defeating these enemies because I wanted to see just how strong I could get. So I spent way too long going through this path, and that's why I do feel pretty comfortable with it. I feel like I got a really good and efficient path down for defeating all of the enemies in this area in one path, but I really would not recommend doing this. It just takes a lot longer than hanging out between those trance crystals, like I said. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to finish up going through this area, defeating all of the monsters and getting a lot of our MP back. It doesn't necessarily have to be full because that would take a very long time, though you are certainly welcome to do that. There is no prohibition to becoming over leveled in this game whatsoever. But when we're done, we're going to head back toward the Magla Hollow, and we're going to use that to teleport ourselves back to the altar chamber. And it's at this time that we got the protagonist up to level 14. That's pretty good. We've only got a few more enemies to kill before they're all wiped out. If you get down to the Magla room and go the opposite direction, there's going to be a couple more dogs over here. So let's just take them out. And now we're going to return to that Magla Hollow. And like I said before, we're going to choose to go elsewhere. And then we're going to choose to go to the altar chamber. Alright, let's keep on going. We'll travel elsewhere to the altar chamber, getting us right back to where we were, where we fought that Luisan mage captain. Now let's go forward and then over toward the left. We'll go through the door and we're going to run ahead and defeat all of the dogs that pop out here. They're just as weak as the ones that we slaughtered a few moments ago, so take out all of those, getting us a little bit more MP and some other resources, and then we're going to go through the door on the far side. There's going to be a little bit of a cutscene here, so let's just go ahead and go through that real quick. And now we're going to go forward and we encounter some new gargoyle enemies. You can actually spot them early on if you use phase sight by hitting L2 or the left trigger button, and when you get close enough they will spring to life. We can't kill them outright, but they go down very quickly in squad-based mode too. Their weakness is wind, but we can pretty much ignore that. Just hit them with a blizz spell and they'll be gone just the same. There's no need to inherit the psych spell from the seeker archetype just to hit their weakness, because one of our other spells does just fine. Let's grab the nearby item, then go across the hall to enter the room on the west side. Once we open up these doors, we're going to get the item on the left side and then return back out into the main hallway. We want to keep going toward the northeast until we go up the stairs and then turn right. We want to go down and destroy this gargoyle on the left, and then we're going to go into the doors nearby. So now we're going into the easternmost room. There's a bunch of these undead guys walking around, but they all go down really quickly, so take them all out. They just serve to refill some of our MP. We'll go out into the hallway, continue going north and then toward the east until we go through this triangular shaped door, and we're going to take out these soldiers. Now we're going to go down the stairs on our right all the way to the end. There's going to be another enemy and a gargoyle to take out. You can see there's the face sight showing which one will come to life, and he's yellow, meaning that we can't kill him outright. We have to go into squad based mode to do that. Grab the item at the end and then go through the door by where the gargoyle is. If you turn toward the right, you can try to go through this door, but it's locked. We'll have to come back here a later time from the other side. We'll turn around and we're going to run over to this area where you'll get a series of little cutscenes and find that there's a barrier preventing us from going forward. So instead, let's go out, we'll grab the item on the ground, and then we'll climb up the nearby ladder. When we get to the top of the ladder, there's going to be a cutscene explaining that there's a Magla crystal down below, and that's preventing us from going up. So if we destroy this thing, we can get rid of the barrier and continue going up. What you want to do is to head toward the south, and there's going to be a little doorway we can go through. We can take out the enemy here and then grab the item. Now let's go back the way we came. We'll go north and then over toward the east, and we're going to go through this doorway. There's a few weak enemies here. We'll take them out, and then this gargoyle comes with a different group that we haven't fought before, so I'll show you a good way to take them all out. We're going to use the synthesis skill Gabliz. It's going to take out the gargoyle and do a little damage against the other enemies that look like normal soldiers. Unfortunately, those guys resist all elements, so even if I were to use another spell like Bot or Blizz or Kanda, it's not going to do anything to these guys that's really worthwhile, and because one of them is not stunned, I need to kill him before the enemy gets a chance to attack. So instead, I'll pass the turn over to Hulkenberg. She'll hit the weakness with her normal attack, and now these enemies are stunned for one more turn. We're just going to keep passing our turns over to Hulkenberg, and then she'll be able to eliminate these enemies one by one with just her normal attack, and that's also going to save us some precious MP. So after these enemies are eliminated, let's get our reward and then keep on going.
Smooth finish. Great work, everyone.
Now that the fight's over, let's keep going a little bit toward the east. There's going to be 2 more soldiers guarding this triangular shaped door, so we'll take them out, and then what we can do is to go through the door. There's going to be a couple enemies up ahead that we can take out. Alright, let's take these guys out, and then I realized that I forgot an item on the ground a minute ago, so apologies for this. Let's go back the way that we came through the doorway and then hug the right side so that we can go down these stairs. There's going to be an item in the far corner. Let's go ahead and pick that up. It's a blessed water that is necessary for purifying weapons and equipment at a church, and we need at least one of those for a trophy, so at least there's purpose in grabbing this. Now we're going to head back the way that we came through that triangular shaped door and take out the enemies and the gargoyles on the far side of the hall. After we eliminate all those guys, let's turn and we're going to go toward the south, and then we're going to eliminate the enemies around here and pick up the item.
You could do it.
So those guys are gone. Let's grab the item off of the flowers, and now we're going to go inside the door that takes us toward the west. There's some more undead guys in here. We'll eliminate them, grab the item, and now we're going to finish off the rest of the guys and head back out into the hallway. Let's keep going toward the south, and that will wrap us around, so we start heading toward the east. We'll go through this door, and we'll see a bunch of enemies by the statue. So take them all out, and now we're going to continue up the stairs, eliminating the enemies as we go. There's one item on our left behind this gargoyle, so take out the gargoyle and then grab the item. And now we're going to go through the nearby door. There's another gargoyle in this area that's just begging to be killed, so let's take him out, and then what we're going to do is to proceed over toward the southwest. And what we want to do is to head over toward this ledge where we can jump down onto the arms of the statue, and we can run straight across toward the right and then hop up onto the ledge on the other side. There's an item immediately to our left, so we're going to grab that one, and then we're going to start running toward the northwest, taking out the enemies along the way. We'll go through the door and proceed over toward the west, and then we're going to turn and we're going to go north and drop down this ladder. From here, we're going to go forward, taking out the enemies and grabbing the item nearby. Now let's turn and we're going to go over toward the west and then start heading south. There's some more enemies to take out and another item that looks like it's in this vase. So we'll grab that and now we'll keep going over toward the north and we're going to go into this Magla Hollow. At this point, if you're getting low on MP, I would encourage you to go back to a previous area and farm a little bit more of that MP back by eliminating the enemies, either the dogs in the first area, or you can go back to those trance crystals and get some more kills around that area to recharge your MP. It's also a good idea to save the game in case something goes wrong. This game does autosave quite a bit, but it's always good to have a more permanent save as well. Well, after that's done, we're going to head down toward the bottom part here, and we're going to find ourselves in a room with a bunch of these floating enemies. You want to ignore them, just grab the item on the way, and then run over toward the right and up the stairs, interact with this green spot here, and when we do that, we're going to use that Sanctified Amulet that we picked up a long time ago to make the statue bend down and create another path across his arms on the lower level. After that, we're going to turn around, stick toward the left, and ignore all of these enemies. We're going to grab the item on the way, and then continue heading all the way down the stairs and go into the room with the black smoke coming out of it. Be prepared because we've got another fight ahead of us. This one can be a little bit tricky, but having enough magic is good to get through this fight. We come face to face with the Magla Crystal creating that barrier, as well as 5 of these Specto enemies. You do not want to use physical attacks on these guys, only use magic. In particular, they are weak to light magic, so if you have a healer on your team, use Mahama here to great effect. I didn't have that, so I used Gabat instead, and now they're all down to a little less than half health. And here's where I made a key mistake. Do not start to attack them individually, because you can get into a really bad loop. The enemy hexed Stroll, which is a problem because if he attacks an enemy and does not kill them, then Stroll will take a lot of damage. Also, you cannot use synthesis skills if you're under the hex status effect. So I wasn't able to use another Gabat to finish off all these enemies. I had to start attacking them individually. It's fine because I can kill them when they're under half health. One bot spell will do it. However, I get into a very bad position where now if I eliminate enemies and there's only one remaining, there's a good chance that the remaining one on their turn is going to use summon to bring back another enemy at full health. That's definitely a problem for my hexed character because he cannot kill that one without taking damage, but also now I'm stuck with multiple enemies that will just keep spawning in one another. So even if I attack these enemies, kill them with Stroll, I don't take any damage, but I'm left in that same situation where the enemy will keep spawning in more versions of itself. If you get stuck in a repeated cycle like this, it might be beneficial to turn back the clock to the beginning of this battle and retry it. There's no harm in doing that. And then what you can do is to either use Mahama to try to kill these enemies if you've got that available, or if you're stuck like me using Gabat, then you can use that on a turn, you can guard, and then on your next turn, hope that you don't get hexed, and then hit them with another Gabat and finish off all 5 enemies just like that. So hopefully it doesn't go too poorly for you. I am able to luckily finish off the enemy at this point, and we can be finally done with this. We broke the cycle of the infinite summons, and now we're able to move on. I don't really know if you get more experience for doing it this way with killing more enemies, but either way, I leveled up with the protagonist. I didn't notice that I had 2 points to allocate, so I just put 1 into endurance to tie it up with agility. I should have put another 1 into magic. In the next cutscene, we're going to be asked, do we want to go back to the lift automatically or do we want to go back ourselves? We're going to choose let's go to be teleported back to the entrance to the lift that now has the barrier taken away. But we're not going to go there yet. Instead, we're going to turn right and we're going to go up the ladder nearby. Now that we're here, we're going to proceed through this triangular shaped door, keep running down the hall into the next door. When we get to the end of the hallway, we have not gone toward the left yet. There's another bunch of enemies over here that are pretty weak, so let's take them out and get some of that MP back that we used up during the fight with all of those Specto enemies. Inside this room here, there's a bunch of undead that come chasing out after us. So what we're going to do is to run over here, kill all of them, and we're going to get the treasure chest inside this room as well. So after all these enemies are eliminated, let's grab that treasure chest, and then we're going to proceed on. You'll also notice that Stroll still has that hex effect on him, but running around in the world like this will make it go away in time, and it only took about this long for that to disappear. Also, if you have a high luck stat, it'll make those negative status effects go away a lot faster. Let's go down the stairway again that we took earlier to get that blessed water, but now the barrier on the door ahead of us is gone, so we can go through here and we can take out the enemies in this area. We'll go through the door on the right, and then we're going to turn toward the left, run down, and toward the right there's going to be some more enemies to eliminate and another item to grab. And now we can hop onto the statue again, where on the lower level we can once again run across his arms and to climb up, and this takes us into the back area with that locked door that we couldn't get in earlier. While we're here, let's go ahead and grab this treasure chest containing a very good item called the Exorcist's Cassock. It gives us a +3 to our magic stat, and it also increases our evasion against dark attacks. Very useful for an upcoming fight. Let's go through and just make sure all of our equipment is up to date and maxed out for all of our characters. We'll start with the protagonist, giving him the cooling staff and that new Exorcist Cassock. If Stroll is a mage or a healer, you're able to upgrade his equipment as well, and then check to see if Hulkenberg has anything. Let's open up the doors in this room, and that takes us back out into the hallway near where the Magla Hollow is. We'll turn toward the right, run to the end of the hallway, and then go down the stairs. We're going to run past the Magla Hollow. Feel free to stop in if you want to. Otherwise, keep going up the stairs, and we're going to go through the door to our right. Once we're here, we'll turn left, go through the door between the gargoyles, and now we're going to run past Moore's Cat over to the area where the lift is. There's going to be a cutscene here. When it plays out, then there's going to be a group of enemies that are coming down the lift, and we'll have to fight them when they get down to the bottom. We have a mage captain and 2 sword captains. The sword captains are weak to ice, so let's go ahead and hit them with a Gablizz, and that should be enough to do a lot of damage to them, and we only use up 2/2 of our turn icons, and now we can use the second half of those turn icons to use another one of those Gablizzes and take them out. And now we're only left with the mage captain in the middle. He's going to be weak to pierce attacks, so that's where Hulkenberg comes in. She's able to hit with her normal melee attack, and that will hit his weakness. We just have to go through a couple rounds of skipping turns with our mages, or the mage and the healer, and then use Hulkenberg's as the knight to keep attacking with a normal melee attack. Admittedly, it is a little bit slow to just keep passing turns to Hulkenberg, but this guy will resist any magical element that we throw at him, so it's really just a waste of MP. Don't worry about that. Pass the turns over to Hulkenberg, use the thing that he's weak against, and you'll finish him off within just a couple rounds like this. Now, he does have a couple weak magic attacks he can use against all of your party members. That's okay though, we can tank those hits just fine, and then if you really need to after the fight, go ahead and use Hulkenberg's first aid outside of battle as a skill, and you're able to heal up all of your party members without using a lot of MP. She doesn't really use MP for much of anything anyway, so it's totally fine to use it for the purpose of getting your health back. Well, after the fight, we're going to get our rewards and then keep on going from here.
I shall rise to the occasion.
After the fight, you get some more cutscenes, go forward and then interact with the lift control, and we're going to go up to the upper level here. Again, we're going to go through some more cutscenes and some more dialogue, and after that we're going to proceed forward, and we're going to go down the hallway, taking out the guards along the way.
I think we got them all.
After that, we'll go through the door that they were guarding, and we're going to keep going forward, and we're going to get through some more cutscenes. After that, there's going to be a couple glowing green spots on the ground on these portraits. Let's look at a couple of those things and interact with it, and then we're going to move on from here to go and do some more story stuff. So after that's all done, what you want to do is to turn and start heading toward the west. You can go over and pick up this item on the ground, and now we're going to go through the doorway. Let's keep going forward, taking out the weak enemies along the way. And now we're going to go through the doorway on the other side. We'll keep going through, and then we're going to eliminate some of these enemies. We don't have to kill all of them necessarily. You can start to skip these guys if it's becoming a little bit tedious. So we can't kill them outright in battle. So if you're running out of MP or you're having some issues with that, feel free to skip these guys. We can always catch up on some missed experience later on. Now, I am skipping quite a bit of story and everything just because it's kind of spoilery and everything, but once you're through all that, just keep running forward down this red carpet, go through the door on the other side, and keep going into the room with a bunch of teeth walking around here. We can initiate a squad-based battle after stunning them and getting that ambush. They're all weak to fire, so go ahead and use that Gabat synthesis skill, and you're able to destroy all of them with just one shot.
What a finale! Keep your energy up, everyone!
Satisfactory. Ha! I have never known such heights.
Let's go up the stairs, and then we're going to turn toward the right and go up some more stairs. I'm just skipping past some of these enemies because I want to save some MP. Once we get up to the top of the very large flight of stairs, we'll turn toward the right and go through the door. There's some pretty weak enemies in this room with all the soldiers, so you can take them out easily, but there's also some ones that are a little bit tougher. What you can do is you can attack the enemy until you get to the point where it asks you if you want to go into the squad command, and then you can roll by pressing circle or B, and then you're able to let the enemy regain their stun bar, and then you can keep attacking them again. And then you can roll away, and then just keep doing that over and over again. You'll keep injuring them outside of combat, and then eventually when you do go into squad combat, if you choose to, then there will be at a lower health and you can take them out quicker. You can even just keep doing it over and over again until you kill them outside of combat without actually ever going into squad-based combat. I ran back into the hallway before to go into this Magla Hollow. Once again, it's a great opportunity to go back to an earlier part and to get some more of your MP back if you choose to do that. Otherwise, just save the game because we've got our final boss of this section coming up pretty soon, and we want to make sure that we are protected. Let's go back into the room that we were just in fighting all of those soldiers, and on the far side is going to be the start of a staircase. Let's start running all the way up this very long staircase toward the top, and we're going to go all the way up until we transition into a new area. We're done collecting items and killing enemies. We're just going to go forward all the way until we get to the very end of this long red carpet. There's going to be a cutscene when we get to the top part of it, and then we're going to continue along the path straight ahead of us and into this door. Once you go through the door, you're going to find yourself outside. All you have to do is to follow the path around. There's nothing to kill and nothing to collect. Just taking the sights along the way, go all the way to the end of this path until you get to the point where you can see Moore's cat waiting outside of a door with the black smoke.
Even so. No.
We've reached our destination. Now what we want to do is to make sure that we're ready for this upcoming fight. In order to refill our health, we're going to go into the skill menu, and now we're going to go to Hulkenberg and use first aid to make sure everyone is full on health. We also have to make sure that we have a lot of MP. So let's go ahead and go into our items. We're going to choose the fruit cordials as well as any Magla pills or Magla potions we happen to have available to us, and make sure that we're topped up on our MP as well. As for the recommended archetypes, I would have the protagonist be either a mage or a healer, and Stroll be either a mage or a healer. You want a fire spell, a light spell, and Hulkenberg should be a brawler because you want a good source of strike damage. So make sure you have fire, light, and strike available to you, and once you have that, let's choose to go on through the door. And after some cutscenes, then we'll be put into a fight against Zorba the Necromancer.
We don't stop.
Zorba is only weak to light-based damage, and he resists all other elements, so that's pretty bad for us if we don't have a consistent source of light damage, like I do. I only have 2 mages, and I have a knight, so that's not so great for me. It means this fight's going to take a little bit longer, and I'll do a lot less damage to him. Luckily for us, though, he doesn't like to attack us on his turn. Instead, he uses something called Corpse Puppetry, where he raises up another undead enemy, who is also weak to not only light, but also fire. So at least I'm able to hit that weakness. I can use Gabat, and I can damage the corpses that he brings up. He'll bring up a couple of them, but we're able to attack them all at the same time using synthesis skills. This is also a good opportunity to hit him with the other synthesis skills that we haven't used yet, because we still want to make sure that we use 50 different synthesis skills so that we can get a trophy with that. Once he's got a couple of those corpse puppets out, now it's a good time to attack all of them together. I recommend using Mahama if possible to attack all the enemy's weaknesses, including Zorba's. If not, just use Gabat, and that will work fine for hitting the weaknesses on the 2 other corpses. And although Zorba will resist it, you're still hitting weaknesses, and with 2 Gabats, you're able to take out both of those corpses, and then he's back to trying to summon them with his next 2 turns. The enemies that he summons will still attack you and do a decent amount of damage, so just be mindful of that. If you want to, you can have Hulkenberg use Knight's Proclamation if she's a knight, otherwise she can just keep on punching or providing support as a brawler. Alright, well, I'm going to skip ahead to the end of the fight now, because it really was about 4 extra minutes of just doing the same Gabats over and over again. So I got him down to low health, finished him off, and that's going to be the end of the fight. I get a good chunk of experience, Mag and Reeve, and we also got enough experience to get the protagonist up to level 16. Now I realize that I had 2 points to spend, so I'll go ahead and throw 1 into strength and 1 into agility just to get everything tied up at 10. After that cutscene, we automatically complete the quest called Necromancer Takedown and get a new quest called Thwart Zorba's Plan. I'm not going to say exactly what that is for spoiler reasons. I'm skipping ahead on some cutscenes, and we'll find ourselves in the Regalith Grand Cathedral again. All of our HP and MP are refilled, so run forward, use the cat to save if you need to, otherwise keep running outside, and we're going to keep that same party set up with a mage, a healer, and a brawler, and we're all set for the next fight. But once again, I didn't follow my own advice. I still have the same party setup as before, so it'll be a little bit more difficult for me than it will be for you with that recommended archetype setup. This is going to be a long, multi-phase fight that has numerous targets that we have to hit in specific ways in order to get through this properly. You'll notice that there's a shell. The shell has a crack in it, and the shell is weak to strike damage, so if you have that brawler, let them go crazy breaking the shell open. It's got 700 HP, so it will take a little while to get through this. Just keep wailing away at it, and eventually that shell will crack open. On the enemy's turn, it's going to use the heart on top of its head to try to damage us. It can do a couple different things. It can inflict a status effect that prevent us from using any of our skills. You can see it hit the protagonist there, and I've got the question marks above my head. And it can also use Hamayon to do decent damage of the light nature. Let's just keep attacking it, trying to break that shell open, and once it does, then we move on to the next phase where the heart comes down and it becomes available for us to really damage. The heart is our main opponent. Once it dies, the entire boss fight is over. It resists all elements, and it is neutrally damaged by normal physical attacks. So again, if you have a brawler, have it do the attacking here, and just try your best with the other characters. When the heart falls down, you use that turn to attack it. On its next turn, it's basically stunned, allowing you to have another opportunity to do damage to it. Again, just focus on physical attacks because it resists all elements. Well, after your turn, the heart is going to return to the top of the head, and we move into phase 3, where the giant cracked open eggshell is going to fill itself with a bunch of assailants. This thing just keeps getting weirder and weirder. The problem with these assailants is that we get one turn to eliminate them. If we cannot get rid of all of their health, they're going to attack all of our party members, and it's going to do quite a bit of damage. And you'll see that despite my best efforts, I still came up a little bit short, and they're going to attack me. That's not so great, but it's just something I'm going to have to deal with. Luckily, I have just about full health on everyone, so that means that I can withstand this attack. It just does a lot more damage than I'd like it to, doing upwards of 40 or 50 damage to each party member. It will then restore its shell, granting all 700 health back to it. That's a problem, but Gallica shows us that the hands are what's regenerating it, so we can now attack the hands and get rid of them. The hands are weak to fire damage, so let's go ahead and start casting some bot spells their way, and we'll eliminate the hands. So after we get rid of the hand on the right side of the screen, we can use our next turn to attack the hand on the left side of the screen. And once both hands are destroyed, it will no longer be able to heal its shell up all the way. It can only do a partial recovery, only granting it 70 health when it regenerates instead of 700. So a 90% reduction in healing is definitely a good thing for us, meaning that we can break the shell open a whole lot easier on those turns and get back to the process of getting that heart down closer to us where we can do more damage to it. It just speeds up the fight a lot once those hands are destroyed.
Take this! Now, me! Burn to ash!
Hit their weak point.
Let's fire.
Alright, now that those hands are gone, they are gone for good. Let's turn our focus back on attacking the shell, and once we break it open, we'll get into the next phase of the fight.
Good job, everyone! Talk about a close call.
Let's go. Better be sure. Let's set it.
If you use one of the more powerful synthesis skills like Batra, you're able to take out over half of that shell's health with just one attack. So there you go, the shell's broken, the heart is now where we can see it and attack it better. So we're going to go ahead and start attacking it, trying to do as much damage as we can while it's vulnerable.
Take this!
It's okay. Lend me your strength.
Alright, let's go!
Ice.
The heart has recovered its balance, it goes back on the head, and once again, assailants will pop up inside the broken shell. But this time, we've got something else planned for them, because Gallica says that she can actually go in there and distract the enemy and damage them, and that's really good. Let's go ahead and allow her to do this. There's no reason why we shouldn't let her do this. It gives us a big advantage in this phase. So she rushes forward, does a lot of damage, and now we can take out the enemy pretty quickly. Once you're able to destroy the assailants inside the shell, their attack will immediately fail, so we don't have to worry about taking a bunch of damage from them. Unfortunately, Gallica cannot do this every turn. She's tired and has to rest, so we have to go through it basically every other phase where we have to deal with the assailants. We've got to do it on our own versus having her help us out. And here you can see that that attack failed, and now it just goes into using its other turn to regenerate the shell, only 70 health. So we're now able to break that shell very quickly with just one attack from basically any one of our party members. And that's going to knock the heart down, and we'll go back into the phase of trying to deal with the heart, damage it as much as we can before that cycle repeats. If you know that you're not strong enough to defeat the assailants on your turn, then I would recommend moving everyone to the back row and then guarding on their turn. That way, instead of them doing 50 damage to you, they'll only be doing about 15 or 20 damage to you. That's a great way to save a lot of health. If you have a healer on your team, it doesn't matter so much because you should be able to heal everyone up just fine. However, I don't have that. I would have to rely on using items. And speaking of items, we have a lot of attack items available to us, and those do a guaranteed amount of damage. Even if it resists it, it will still do the amount of damage that it says in the item description. So instead of doing 30 or so damage by casting a magic spell, I can use an item like a Fire Fang to do 150 damage to the heart. And that's a really good way to do a lot of damage in a short amount of time, and thereby you can even perhaps skip some of these phases where you have to deal with the assailants and keep knocking them down. So use up those items. There's no reason to hang on to them. Use them to your advantage and speed this fight up. And that's really all there is to the strategy of this fight. I'll give you the TLDR here. Use fire against the hands, use strike against the shell, attack the heart with physical attacks, or use your attack items. Make sure that you're defending if the assailants come at you, and you should be just fine. I'll let the fight play out for a couple more minutes here, and I'll see you when it's over.
Let's go. Burn! Let's push through.
Now! Aim for the heart!
By the sworn oath of knighthood. Here!
Who needs igniters? I'll show you magic. Here!
Phew. Sorry about that. I'm back in the fight.
This'll do.
Is everyone all right? From our provisions. Still standing, I see.
Now, what's the play? What are my options? Mage! The power of fire! They die hard!
I think those soldiers are coming. Should I give it another try? Leave it to me. Leave it to me. I did it! Just...
Me! Freeze! All right, how's that?
Observe the enemy. Fight there! They yet cling to
I
life.
can't afford to... Are you prepared? Burn to ash! Not done yet.
Only a flash.
Captain's hurt bad.
Still fight.
Let's get him some healing.
Still
Everyone okay?
stands.
Gotta heal up. You're all hurt bad. Can anyone get on healing duty?
I won't hold back. Fire! Let's push through.
Now! Aim for the heart!
Huh, take this! Still standing, I
I
see.
shall fight as the noble I am. This should work.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Me! Ice!
It's still up? Is every with blade in hand? They yet cling to life.
We need no holding back. The power of fire! Tougher than I thought.
I'm sorry.
I'll get some distance.
I
Guard
still
up!
can't move.
To the rear guard! They'll not break my defenses.
Moving to the rear. Let's see how this plays out.
The captain's hurt bad. Let's get him some healing. The captain's on his
It looks like the heart is very low on health, so I'm just going to attack it directly and ignore the shell. One more good attack should be enough to finish it off and end the fight. Hopefully by following my recommendations, this fight goes very smoothly for you and you can finish it up really quickly. So after that fight, we'll get all of our rewards. It's enough for both Stroll and for Hulkenberg to level up and get a couple more of our archetype levels. And now we're going to go through with a bunch of cutscenes that I'm just going to skip. We're going to complete the quest called Thwart Zorba's Plan, and we get some more cutscenes, during which we get the Calamity Averted trophy, which we get for completing the Regalith Grand Cathedral. What's also cool is we did that all in one day, which means that we get a lot of time to work on some other things. We are now in a period where we're waiting for Forden to make a move with the story, and that means that we do have some free time to work on getting our follower ranks up. We can now hear our followers' echoes, which means that we will know who's ready to rank up. In this case, it's Hulkenberg. But we're going to be focusing on all that side content in the next part. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit the like button and also comment and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with the rest of the series. I'll see you soon for part 3. Until then, thanks for watching and have a good day.